myself. My name is Dan Sable. I'm a Senior Vice President with Bank of America here in Wichita. I'm with the commercial bank. I work with companies and their business owners and C-level executives of companies with sales of 50 million to 2 billion a year. And we're happy to host tonight. One thing I wanted to announce before we get started, a month from today, on March 16th.
I think it's going to fix this one on the back one.
Can you all hear me?
Move your mic up a little bit.
Can you fix this on the back one?
Technical. That's better. Yeah. All right. So a month from today, on March 16th, we're going to have a really interesting event here, doing business with Israel. As you may or may not know, Israel is a technological giant around the world, and we're going to have Guy Cohen here. He's the Midwest Council General for Israel, based in Chicago. He's coming here with his team, and he's also bringing along 2 Israeli companies that have landed in the Great Plains and Midwest. We're going to talk about their story, so it should be really exciting. And speaking of the Middle East, it kind of reminded me of one of the Proverbs by King Solomon, who had to deal with a lot of global issues, even in ancient times. And he said that plans are foiled for want of counsel, but they succeed through many advisors. And I think tonight's topic, how to do business internationally, should be very enlightening for all of us, whether you're a C-level executive, a business owner, a student, or just interested in global business. So tonight we're going to have 3 presenters, Carly Higgs from Balco, Amir Etazazi from Etazazi Industries, and Eli Antova from ICM. And then following that, we're going to have some updates from Chang Liu, who is with the Kansas Department of Commerce, and A.J. Anderson, who is with the U.S. Department of Commerce. So if I could ask our 3 presenters to come on up and we can get started. So for our agenda today, we're going to have our 3 presenters are going to tell their story. After each presenter, we'll open it up to questions, and then we'll have our 2 government guests speak, and then we can open it up for further questions. And then Dharma's going to wrap it up for us at the conclusion. So, Carly.
Good evening. My name is Carly Higgs, and I'm our export manager with Balco. We manufacture architectural building products, and we're based out of Wichita, just down south a little bit. A little bit about our history. So we were founded in 1959 by Claude Balzer. Some highlights in the course of our history here, and it's coming to be a big factor with international business, is we are ISO, we are an ISO company, and that's really important when doing international business. A lot of people look for that, and it gives us a stamp of quality and customer service that is often needed in international business. Kind of a little bit in our history, we took a turning point in 2011.
Mic closer to your mouth, please.
Sure, is this a little better? We created an international sales department in 2011. They brought myself on board. We hired a couple more people, and we just started servicing some customers that had inquired about products internationally. And that really, just servicing those customers really began to take off. And then in 2016, with all the growth that we had encountered, we were awarded the E Award from the President of the United States. And most recently, our facilities are located in Oklahoma City and Wichita, and we are now moving our Oklahoma City facility to Wichita and growing in Wichita even more.
Here.
And how we do what we do. For the most part, we just service our customers. We get out and we build relationships. We have a network of representatives and distributors, not only in the U.S., but worldwide. We currently have about 20 reps and distributors internationally. And those people are going out on a daily basis and getting our products specified with architects. And that's a key component for us because that opens doors. When a customer opens a set of plans for a new building, our name is there and they pretty much have to call us. So that's a really important part of our business. In addition to that, we do a lot of hands-on training, not only with our reps, but with our installers. We bring them into our facility, which is currently undergoing some renovations, so we can present, our best face. And then another part of doing business internationally is the credentials that you hold. Our engineering department is very involved with staying up to speed on the most current testing and fire testing and making sure that all of our data provided to our customers worldwide is accurate. So that's a huge part of being successful internationally as well.
So Carly, what are some of your main products, and do you source them or do you manufacture them? Or? We
manufacture the majority of all of our products. We manufacture stair nosings and expansion joint covers, in addition to floor mats and grids. A lot of people don't really know what those are, but you see them everywhere, mostly in large buildings, hotels. They're just an architectural component that is architecturally specified. Some of our global market demographics. The biggest part of where our products are in office buildings and education facilities. You can kind of tell here, it's a little bit all over the place, but that's where you're going to see our products for the most part. And being good at what we do has offered us some opportunities over the years. A few years back, New Zealand had a huge earthquake, and that's one big thing that our expansion joint products help with, is earthquakes and life safety in seismic events. Our products allow buildings to move and shift without, collapsing or getting extensive damage to the building. So when New Zealand had this huge earthquake, they actually invited us to come and help them figure out how to solve problems with their new building codes so that their buildings didn't fall down again in the next big earthquake. And that picture right there is one of our products being installed in a courthouse in St. Elmo's, Christchurch, New Zealand. And in the last 4 or 5 years, this is a list of buildings that we've done in just New Zealand. This is just a snapshot of what we do worldwide. New Zealand was a new rep when I started back in 2011, so they're kind of my baby, but we do this all over the world, including the Middle East and Dubai. We're in Dubai and China and everywhere. Picture of our growth looks pretty profound when you look at it here. I think some of it's cut off on the other side, but we started with about 8 to 10 countries that we were doing business with, maybe once or twice a year. And then when we started servicing those customers and going after, just a web inquiry or something like that, we just started selling products all over the world. And as you can see here, in 2011, we had a huge growth spurt. And this is just new countries that we ship to. A lot of them are recurring year after year, not all of them all the time. But just year after year, we continue to go different places. To date, we've shipped to over 50 countries and counting. Oh, there's the rest of the list over there. Most recently, in 2017, just yesterday, we shipped to Colombia, so that was a good market.
Now, do you sell in foreign currency or U.S. dollar?
Everything we do is in U.S. dollars currently. We've had several requests for Canadian dollars, and we really just haven't found a way to make that work. So we find that when we present solutions to our customers, they always end up, seeing things our way and wanting to do business with us. So when you do things right, people want to do things your way. And when I started back in 2011, our international sales were about 5% of our business at the time, and last year they were almost 20%. So in addition to growth with the company, our international sales have continued to grow and now are a solid part of our company on a daily basis. And our export strategy, that's kind of changed a little bit since I started. When I started, we were very reactive. We were just responding to people, and now, after we created a dedicated export team, we are working with architects in the U.S. to, on projects specifically that are going to be internationally. We are taking advantage of programs like the World Trade Council to get our foot in the door with other places. And most importantly, we are partnering with people in other countries to promote our business. And we continue to invest internationally. Over the last few years, we've done several trade shows. We have been involved with the World Trade Council, and because of that, we've gotten into some things that we probably wouldn't have even known about if we weren't involved. For example, the STEP grant, we applied for that and we got some money, and we have had a lot of sales because of that. So I encourage all of you to get in touch with your board members here at the World Trade Council, or reach out to anybody you know doing international business and just pick their brain, because you just never know what might come of one of those conversations. And finally, what we do is we just service our customers more than anything, but Valco has an acronym of results, that we recruit the right people, and not only do we recruit the right employees, we recruit the right distributors, and we educate them so that they know what we want to accomplish, and then we service them from day one, but 10 years down the line, the level of service we provide is superior. And we get to know them, and we understand all of their problems. And internationally, that is a key component. Having that relationship, getting a phone call at 2 in the morning because a reel shipped someplace that it shouldn't have. That happened this morning, in fact. You have to roll with it. When your phone's blowing up in the middle of the night from WhatsApp messages, you get up and you take the phone call. And at the end of the day, it's always worth it. And labor is something you can't do without. You have to work hard to get where you're going. At Valco, we train and we teach our people, and all of that equals success.
So Carly, maybe you could briefly talk about, May, you mentioned this a little bit before, how the WTC has helped Valco. I mean, it seems like you kind of fell into your global strategy at first.
At first, yes. At first, it was very reactive. We did have just a handful of customers worldwide that would contact us and say, hey, send me this material. But as we started servicing those customers, we had a need, or we saw the need for people all over the world to want our products and need our products. So we didn't really know how to go about that. So by getting involved with the World Trade Council, they were able to give us those connections. A.J. Anderson with the Department of Commerce has been a wonderful asset to us. He has provided gold key services to us, made recommendations, put us in touch with ambassadors to countries we didn't know how to do business with. So all of those things have been very beneficial in growing our business.
Any questions for Carly before we move on? Yep.
Do you have distribution centers in other countries, and do you plan to do that?
Do you have distribution centers in other countries, or do you plan to do that?
Right now, we don't have any distribution centers. We have a distribution network of individual reps, and that looks a little bit different depending on what region of the world you're in. Some of our reps are set up on a royalty type basis, and they do a little bit of manufacturing on their own. For the most part, all of our product comes out of Wichita or Oklahoma City, and we're just exporting it. Some of our reps are providing technical assistance, but ordering very little. And then some of them are even stocking product and selling it locally, so.
Anyone else? Yep.
What is the lead time of your product from sale order to delivery?
Internationally, the quickest I could get any product out the door is gonna be a week, and then probably a week to get wherever it's going in the world. And that is at lightning speed with a lot of prayers involved. Normally, our product, if it's a standard order, is gonna take 2 to 3 weeks in production. And if it's being ocean freighted somewhere, it could take as much as 5 to 8 weeks to get where it's going. So with the building industry, we have a little bit of leeway because products aren't needed. You know, you're planning to build a building, you know what you're gonna need. But there are those times where we do have to air freight things and expedite things. And we try to be upfront with our customers and let them know that it might be a good idea to order, 5% extra material so that we're not looking at thousands of dollars in air freight charges at the last minute.
Actually, just wanted to get the context of your hesitation and not accepting foreign currency, because I saw in your list that you had a lot of countries that you were doing business with that had hard currency. And yet you said that you would not accept anything other than US dollars. So I was just wondering, what is the hesitation? If the lead time is not very long, then where is the risk in not accepting hard currency?
The honest truth is we haven't found an easy way to make that happen within our system. We've looked at it only with Canadian dollars a couple times, and the orders that we were looking at were not very large orders, and our customers have ultimately decided, oh, it's just easier, to pay in US currency.
Yep.
Do you mind if I come back to that background? Early on, you made the comment about a Canadian currency. Is that just because the Canadians asked for it, or out of curiosity, are other people asking you to do business in Canadian dollars?
No, just in
Okay,
Canada.
thank you. Thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah.
How many different product lines you got?
How many different product lines do you have?
Right now, there's 4 major ones: expansion joints, stereosing, and floor mats and grids, and then grading is also on the table.
Okay. Well, thank you. Our next presenter is Amir Etazazi of Etazazi Industries.
Hello everyone, I'm Amir Etazazi, CEO of Etazazi Industries. We are an aerospace manufacturer, structure manufacturer in mainly aerospace industries. Anything as far as just little hinges all the way to wing spars and things like that. So we provide our mission is to be the world's leading manufacturer of any parts and products. We are committed to providing superior value and services in our shareholders by investing in people and our products. We lead through innovation and an outstanding product safety, efficiency, and performance. Our standards are high, and we define excellence in delivery. So just a little bit about what we do and what kind of products we work on, and just kind of a little bulletin points. High quantity production, such as 737, A320, those type of production. That's just the main common aircrafts right now. We are located in Wichita, Kansas. We have, we'll get to that a little bit. We have 3 main facilities. We self-certified small business. We originally started at 5,500 square foot. Currently, we have a second location that's 11,500 square foot. We can do anything from tooling, composite tooling, all the way to hot and cold forming of titanium, aluminum, joggling, preliminary designs, rolling and forming, mechanical, we can do a mechanical brake forming, pistons, spare parts, Blue Street. We have CNC pallet machines, molds, and we can manufacture molds and dies. Currently, we have 30 employees. Any kind of major and minor assemblies. We are ITAR certified, which stands for International Trade Arms Regulation, and self-certified small business disadvantaged business, 3 4-axis machining, lathe and turning, 2 bending, forming, swaging, and bending. We are ISO 9000 certified, ARES 9100, and we also can do bending, forming, sheet bending, and extrusion of hot and cold. So. Again, we kind of touched on that. We're a self-certified small business. We started as a programming house, and we kind of slowly expanded our capabilities into doing manufacturing of our structured parts since 2008. We are capable of just doing some minor design all the way up to full design of components, and all the way to manufacturing of that component or major assembly. Our expansions. Originally, as we said, we started at 5,500 square foot, and we expanded to our second facility, which was 11,500 square foot. We're adding on to both of our facilities. We're adding on almost 12,000 square foot to our main facility, which was 5,500 square foot originally, and then also 27,000 square foot to our second facility, plus another 8,000 for our assembly facility. And that actually will be, I think, on the next slide that we get to that. So, order. Pretty much that's just kind of, again, mainly just any kind of, as you can see, you could do, we're adding several different machineries. Different machineries, anything from just small 5-axis machining all the way up to large 5-axis machining, which would be 20 meter by 3 meter, which is 65 foot by 10 foot machining. And mainly used for wing spars, seats, seat tracks, wing skins, those type of things. And as well as small manufacturing of just little components for anything that you will see. So this would kind of talk about some of our other platforms and what platforms we work on. Of course, Boeing 737 cargo. Spirit, we work on all their platforms, 737, 747, 787, Gulfstream G650, G250, and Bill V280, which is the new program. Same thing with Triumph Aerospace, with Wichita Boeing 787-9 and 747. Nextech, we work with them on a lot of their Lockheed parts, the F-35 and their Fokker Dassaults. Burnham Composite, we did a lot of different types on the composite side. F-35 was one of them. Singapore Aerospace, ST Aerospace, Boeing 757 cargo, Textron Airland, which is a new design of a Scorpion jet. That's what mainly used for the border patrol and light attack. And DoD for the Boeing F-14. Impress Aerospace, again, a lot of 747, 787, Sikorsky programs, and Blackhawk program. Again, Cessna on their experimental and primary productions, such as the Longitude and the Latitude. Hawker Beach on a lot of their tooling and JPATs. And BTMAE, which was also, again, they're on 757 cargo. And General Dynamics for a lot of their domes. Next one, please. So this one, we could do anything as far as the fabrications of any kind of parts to any pretty much anywhere in East Asia. We are aware of what the global economy is becoming, and we're looking to increase our global presence. We are actively looking at participating in WSU, WTC, Greater Wichita Partnership of Kansas Department of Commerce, and also U.S. Department of Commerce. we are really wanting to present show our presence with the different OEMs and their LCC programs, which is called for low cost country companies. So such as being able to show them what different type of cost reductions and being able to obtain that business. So that's pretty much it. I know I kind of struggled through that, but
So Amir, being here in Wichita and the world's a pretty big place. I mean, how are you going about looking at your global strategy and the best places where you can compete?
So we kind of just starting at one global strategy. Most of our customers were locally and within U.S. When we kind of started venturing out and seeing how can we reach out to our global customers. Of course, reaching out through AJ and Chang's the ones through their programs. They kind of got us introduced to these different programs that are available, these different trade shows that are available. One of the major one that we'll be going to would be Paris Air Show, which is just it's one of the world's biggest air show and for our type of business, for aerospace. And so knowing and coming, getting introduced to these type of things and understanding those opportunities, and also them helping us with some of the cost to going, because just going to Paris during that time is not going to be cheap. And having that kind of cost, having that kind of help from them would definitely help us to be able to go and capture that customer base and achieve and get our names out there.
Yeah, because I would imagine without the right support and partnerships that you're trying to develop, it can be pretty intimidating to sell overseas.
It is. Especially it's not easy as with an aerospace side of it. Of course there's there's a lot of different regulation and restrictions that are involved that you have to make sure that you understand and you're following. So having that help and having somebody help us with those regulations is and make us understand and help us through that is very helpful and very important.
Any questions from the audience?
Well, maybe, Carly and Amir, you can maybe share with us some lessons that you've learned to date in terms of, experiences you might be able to share with the crowd in terms of what you've done globally.
One lesson that I've learned is to always have an open mind. Maybe that sounds a little cliche, but don't have your mind made up that it has to be this way, especially when it comes to things like logistics or even sometimes payment terms, anything like that. Listen to your customers and see what input that they have. And let them help you with the process. A lot of times those customers are doing business internationally already, and they may know things that you don't know, or they may have strategies that work with some of their other suppliers that they can tell you. So that would be a lesson learned for me, is to always listen to your customers and listen very carefully and take it to heart what they're telling you.
I would definitely agree with that. Of course, one of the things is just really be open-minded. You never, be involved. Don't be hesitant as far as what markets you're going to, because there's always opportunities. The world's a big place. As small as it might be, but it's a big place, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. So definitely don't hesitate and make sure that you go out there, because that's how I was able to capture my business and grow it that way. So.
Great, thank you.
Daniel?
Oh, Clay, yeah.
I mean, can I have a short one? I mean, most of your project has been based on your studies. And what's the role you play with the Innovation Campus, and what is the role that you expect to play for the Innovation Campus for further growth of your company?
So we're very involved with Wichita State, and as they say, with the Innovation Campus. Most of our engineers are graduates from Wichita State, and we're very proud of that, because we're able to bring that force in and utilize them. They're aggressive, they have potential, they want to learn, they want to grow, and we also, as my background, I've always wanted to build and grow. So being involved with the Innovation Campus, being involved to understand utilizing Wichita State and what they offer over there is been a lot of help to us to be able to grow our business. Take advantage of what's out there, what's new out there versus, you know, and I hope I'm not meaning any disrespect to anybody, but, you know, understanding new ways of doing business versus the old ways that was being done. Because the world is always evolving, it's changing. And knowing that and understanding that, just not just doing business, but just in how to do business and how to get yourself ahead and be able to offer something that's greater than the previous guy is very important. And being involved in Innovation Campus has helped us do that.
Over here.
I was just going to ask you, you mentioned Carly, but any one of the panelists can take this. You can bring Ellie in if she wishes to participate. But you mentioned payment terms. Seems pretty simple, but strategically, can you talk about how you do go about evaluating risk when it comes to payment terms from all of your international customers? Any one of you.
Sure, I'll start with ICM. Part of what we offer is services, not just goods. Sometimes our strategy differs depending on what our offering is. So, and also depends on who the customer is. It depends on what part of the world we're dealing with. Especially for ICM, our products are very high dollar or capital expense required. So a lot of times we tend to be very conservative. And we tend to kind of maybe to Carly's comment earlier, we kind of do stick to US dollars and we stick to higher down payments and just kind of go that way just to minimize our risk because we're a medium-sized business. We're still somewhat new in the international arena, so the comfort level within the company is not as aggressive when it comes to payment terms. We are aware there's different tools, you know, as far as what you utilize, you know, going back to the currency hedging and so forth, or payment terms as far as letters of credit and so forth, or so obviously there's a lot of different tools out there, but specific to ICM, we tend to be a little bit conservative. So
that kind of goes both ways with us. You know, as we're, you know, we have to adapt to customers, our customers' payment terms. Normally, we go based on a 30-term and 60-term, and it's after delivery. And that's because of what our industry standards are. And, you know, versus, you know, as we are smaller. But what the companies that we mainly deal with are a lot bigger companies that we can afford to take that risk with. But on the other side, the companies that we buy from internationally, as our machineries and things like that, we definitely make sure that we'll shy away from that. You know, if they require some down payments, we'll make sure that we'll negotiate them. You know, make sure that that's going to be to our terms versus their terms because they want our business versus you know, and we want to make sure that you know we'll understand that you know they're doing business with us at this point. So.
And in regards to the way that we do business, for the most part, a lot of our customers are on a payment system of 50% down, 50% prior to shipment. And we have a level of comfort with that for obvious reasons. In the US, we have a little thing called a lien that we can do on a building if we don't get paid. But internationally, as many of you know, it's just a huge risk. But what we do is we offer that up front, and if a person can't work with that, then we offer letters of credit. And then once we have a relationship with the person and they place several orders and there's a level of comfort there, then we can start looking at some types of payment terms. And it really varies with all of our customers. And so we try our best to work with our customers and listen to what they need. And we always run it by our accounting department, and they always have the final word. So mostly, my job is to communicate that to our customers.
Does anybody on the panel insure the export liabilities? Do you insure your?
Or your customers?
We have to, just because again that's part of our business and what we have to do versus the parts that we deliver. It's aircraft for use of aircraft, so that's safety involved. So we do have to insure ours. So.
No,
any other questions?
Insure your receivables.
No, at this point we do not.
Any other questions for Amir? Yeah.
Actually, this is for the whole panel. Anybody can answer it. Do you use the export tax from your client country or from US to help you finance for payment terms, etc., to minimize your risk?
I missed the very first
Export-Import
part.
Bank, Exim Bank.
Exim, do you use the Exim
Yes,
Bank?
we have used Exim Bank for a project actually in Paraguay. So obviously with that, you have the requirement that a certain amount of the supply has to be US country of origin. So we worked with the customer to make sure that we can, because like anybody else, we source from different places around the globe. So we made sure that in this particular, we kind of carved out the scope in such a way to help the customer get financing through Exim Bank. And it was a very successful experience for both parties.
Anyone else? Seth?
Yes, from a former life importing, there are a lot of governmental regulations in the United States. Selling within the United States is one thing, but selling overseas to another country, there could be regulations that could impact you. There may be risks that could impact you. How do you work with companies and their governmental regulations on those imports?
So I'm going to answer this one. So that's where these gentlemen kind of come in, and that's kind of work. For me, it's been kind of helping us, get into those regulations and understand those regulations. But at the same time, we use other freight forwarders that kind of help us with those type of regulations as well, and that understand those regulations and make sure all those are banned for our industry.
For Volco, that's also very true. We rely fairly heavily on our freight forwarders to kind of raise red flags if they see anything in regards to our harmonized codes or anything like that. Luckily for us, our products, there's no export license required, so that kind of opens the door for a lot of business all over the world. But I know personally, if I ever have any question about a country that might be questionable, I pick up the phone and call AJ, or I look at the Department of Commerce's website and I read through the material myself and get a level of comfort that I know what's going on and how to do business with that country before we just jump into it.
Okay. One more question, then we'll move on to
This question is mostly geared towards Amir unless someone else has something to chime in. I noticed you said that you're ITAR registered, and I imagine that must be because some of your F-35 work. But I was also curious if after export control reform and some of those things that have been changing, if you felt any relief recently with some of those regulations.
No, not necessarily. Again, that goes back, actually some of the restrictions have gone, some has been relieved, but some of them also gotten a little bit more heavier. So, no, not necessarily. I think the rules and regulations are a little bit more involved at this point, so. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, let's move on to Eliane Tova from ICM.
Well, before I start with my presentation, I want to say thank you, Dr. Dharma da Silva. It's a pleasure to be here. You're a legend. We all know that. I want to say thank you to my co-panelists, the board members, to the audience, and I especially want to give a shout out to the students in the back, because I was there about 15 years ago sitting in your chair, so keep up the good work, and I know it's hard work, so we appreciate you. You're our future, so I'm glad you're here. So. Yes, he is. Well, I cheated a little bit compared to my co-panelists, so I have a short video that'll give you a sneak peek into the biofuels industry that ICM is part of. This is a new industry. It hasn't been around maybe as long as manufacturing and some of those. So I hope you enjoy it, and then I'll talk a little bit more about ICM and what we do in our history. And maybe we have technical difficulties.
You could look at silos though.
Yes, those are green silos. And while he's trying to fix that, I just want to kind of put you in that frame of mind that the biofuel industry is a unique mix of agricultural and energy. So what we do is take grains and process those into biofuels. So it's a unique mix of two different industries. So we really pay attention to the agricultural piece, but we also pay attention to the energy part. So is it working?
Dennis said we're going to build a still, and so that's kind of where the industry got its start. Being a kid growing up on the farm, it was easy to see how this could really have an influence on agriculture.
ICM has a long history. That vast history gives perspective.
We have the hands-on know-how of experiencing ethanol plants.
We built the plants, we engineered the plants, we know how to make things better for them.
ICM is on the leading edge.
Because ICM is always trying to see what's next and what's best.
There is definitely a responsibility that we feel like we need to carry to help enhance the industry standing.
ICM's held to a higher standard in the industry, and we're okay with that.
ICM has a human touch.
I enjoy talking with my customers on a daily basis.
Call in the middle of the night, we'll be there as soon as we can.
That's what we're about, and we're going to help them be successful today and 20 years from now. ICM excels in bringing technology to the marketplace.
We're really good at combining different technologies and turning them into efficient systems.
We're developing new technologies that you get to see developed from the ground up.
To bring, really innovative solutions to the industry.
To find new ways to make our customers successful.
Everything you can imagine is here to be able to bring them a full comprehensive solution. ICM is innovative. We have a real mission. There's definitely a level of passion.
And it is fun to come to work. It's fun to be around people who are passionate about what they do.
Today, ICM is focused on creating new sources of energy here in the U.S. as well as worldwide.
ICM's a great company. We care about the environment. Everything we do is for the future.
I'm doing something better for this planet, for my children and their children.
ICM is here for the long term, and our mission and our passion isn't going to change.
Put our energy into helping customers get the most out of their inputs.
Providing quality customer service and quality products.
We put our energy into getting better.
Spreading the word about renewable fuels.
We put our energy into possibilities.
I put my energy into making a better world.
So, I guess this gives you an idea about ICM and our biofuels industry. It's a pretty young industry. Like I said, ICM has been around for about 20 years. And I'll talk a little bit more about our history, but today obviously I'll share also part of our international journey of how ICM is trying to grow its our global footprint as we expand internationally. So if you click on the next slide. So we have designed 111 plants globally, from corn to biofuels or wheat or any grain to biofuels. We have about 2/3 of the market in North America. And we have also, we produce currently about 1/3 of the world ethanol that's produced all around the world. So you can imagine how much of the ethanol produced globally comes from ICM technology. So we're pretty proud of that. It's about 8 billion gallons, I guess if I can put in volume terms for you. So we have also, one of the things that when you convert corn to ethanol, there's a couple other co-products which are known as dry distillers grains, which is a co-product that's used to feed animals such as cattle, poultry, swine. And we also have CO2 in addition to the ethanol. So there's 3 main products that come out of this. And the rotary dryers are one of the major components of an ethanol plant that help dry those distillers grain that make it suitable for feed for animals. So we're pretty proud that we have about 350 currently operational dryers that since even the company was incepted, actually ICM started with the design of a dryer and then we grew into design of ethanol plants. We also retrofit additional plants from other technologies that are non-ICM. So we've done about 18 of those. And obviously we are pretty passionate about our R&D efforts. Our owners are very interested in growing and promoting the biofuels industry. So they reinvest quite a substantial part of the profits into R&D. So we have an R&D facility in St. Joe, Missouri, that we actually have a 50 million gallon plant ourselves, so any technology that we come up, we test there. We try to come up with new products all the time. We have about 15 patents that ICM holds on different technologies. And obviously, a part of our strategy is investing in the future and the biofuels industry. We are a privately held company. Some of the history starts back to the 1970s because our main engineer has worked in distills since he was in college. We're located in Colwich, Kansas, northwest part of Wichita. And if you go past Mays and you hit the cornfields, and then there is ICM over there. We have about 350 employees. And obviously, like I said, we are a combination of a manufacturer. We do manufacture some equipment, but mostly focus on engineering services and process technology. So here's our international timeline, and I think I'm going to kind of echo a little bit of what Carly said. We were very reactive as well. International came and knocked on our door. We didn't really actively, aggressively go pursue foreign markets. It was people that knew us from the industry here in the U.S. and maybe through parties that they worked there. They knew of our reputation, so they would call us and say, hey, can you help us out? So we kind of started with the reactive. And actually just recently is more, maybe in the past 3-4 years, we've become more aggressive and proactive rather than reactive. So even though our timeline shows that we've been doing international for about 12 years, really that was more of if somebody came and called us, then we would react to that, not necessarily have a strategy or a team or anything like that to handle global growth. So I think in part of today's discussion, and I think we touched on some of these items, why is it important to have an international strategy? And maybe our path is a little bit similar to Bob's, except we're a few years behind because we're just starting to develop our strategy and to aggressively pursue these things and learn how to enter foreign markets. And again, it's not only important how you enter, it's knowing how to exit as well. So many of you sometimes, not all marriages end up successful, right? There's divorce. So it's important to know beforehand how to exit a market. And how are you going to execute in that foreign market? Different parts of the world have different regulations, different standards, different cultures, different mentalities. So it's very important to understand those and have an open mind, like Carly and Amir mentioned. Benefits of developing a strategy. For us at ICM, it has helped us have a unified international goal. So we as a company know where we're headed, what are our expectations. We are starting to experience, for us, we're not at the 20%, we're still at the 5% we just started. So for us, 5% is great. It's a diversified revenue for us. So our goal is to get to the 15 and 20% eventually. So, and obviously it's revenue diversification. Obviously we're in the agricultural industry, depending on that. So sometimes Mother Nature is good in North America, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's good in South America, sometimes it's not. So we have to be cognizant. So for us, having a different stream of revenue from foreign markets is important. So our experience, talking about our experience, like I said, opportunity knocked on our door. We quickly learned that the home replicated model does not work. Our product offerings, the way we did business, we quickly figured out that this does not work internationally. And we also learned that Canada is not a state of the United States of America. And believe it or not, I do believe, and you can ask some people at our company, I think Canada is probably not the easiest place to do work internationally, even though they're next door, even though they speak English. We have had our fair share of trouble, just to be honest, with Canada. I mean, we initially kind of went naive and we thought we can do whatever we do here in Kansas, we can do the same thing up there, and their labor laws or their tax structure, I mean, we thought we had it covered, but unfortunately, we had to learn the tough way. So patience is a requirement. Obviously, like I mentioned, our projects are high capital intensive, and our sales cycle internationally is substantially much longer than what we experience. And part of that is building those relationships, because that takes time. It takes face time, so obviously that costs money to travel, to spend the time, to learn the culture, because I put up there, culture is VIP. You have to understand the culture wherever you're trying to sell. And we have to adjust our sales approach depending on where we're going. And always, I put this up there, keep it simple. Keep it simple as much as you can, because that helps. I think I can't stress enough, you have to have a dedicated global business team. You have to have the subject matter experts, or the people that are willing to learn or train or have an open mind and try to listen to that customer, because each customer is going to have a different need from the different part of the world. So,
Are there language issues? Do you have to have people on your staff that speak foreign language, or is English really the business language?
well, no, because a lot of times when we deal with customers, we're usually in very remote places. So you're talking about sometimes co-op farmers that, you know, are not necessarily kind of the people that speak several languages. So a lot of times we do rely on people, whether within our team, we do have several, we're pretty lucky, we have some people that speak several languages. But sometimes we do have to engage other parties that will help us with translations, whether it's through suppliers, whether it's through other agencies that we use, whether it's organizations such as some students that we've used from here that have helped us translate on conference calls. So yes, language is very important and it helps in communication, absolutely. And I think that's all I had for today, so questions?
Well, let me start with one for all three of you. Now, Ellie, you mentioned that ICM has about 5% of its sales internationally. Looking at 3 to 5 years, what do you think that percentage will be? And I'd like to ask Amir and Kelly the same question.
Well, I'm glad my boss is not here, right? Steve probably has a different goal than I do. Just being realistic, like I said, for us, our sales cycle is about 2 years. The projects we work on are above $100 million. So you can imagine what it takes to finance those. So for us, it takes a lot of effort in helping the customer develop even the financing in those different markets. So a lot of times we're not just selling, we're even helping them on the ground develop the project and engage with the different regulatory and local supportive groups to get to the point where they have the financing to engage us for us to provide them process technology. So for us, we hope to be at 15%, obviously in 2 to 5 years, just being realistic of what we have in front of us in our sales funnel.
So I would agree with Ellie a little bit. Of course, our dollar amounts are a little bit less compared to, but you know, we're about 2 to 3% right now that what we do internationally. And we would like to grow that into being about 15 to 20% within the next few years. So, you know, and that's one of the things that, you know, of course, you know, still, U.S. and you know, Midwest is pretty big in what we do here as well as aerospace and aircraft. But again, there's a lot of opportunities out there that we'd like to be able to capture.
And for us, our main goal is to continue to expand. We're continuing looking for new places to go and new distributors to set up. I don't know what that really looks like as far as the numbers go, but just continue the growth and just continue doing what we do. That's really our main goal.
Questions? Yep. Frank?
I'll put you on the spot here a little bit.
Go ahead.
I know that you're breaking ground in Brazil, which is a country with a long history of doing ethanol in a very different way. You have your own technologies with corn and what goes around that industry. And in Brazil, as far as I understand, a lot of the ethanol comes from sugarcane. Why did you go to a country that is very experienced in ethanol and a very different technology? How are you blending those things together?
So I don't know if anybody heard the question.
I can repeat that. The question was, he was aware that ICM is breaking ground on, or we're in the process of opening an office in Brazil. And his question is, the other, or probably the older industry of ethanol is Brazil with sugarcane. They use sugarcane as the feedstock. And his question is, how did ICM decide, if I got it correctly, to go enter a market that's pretty mature and it has sugarcane as a feedstock, and we're coming in with a different technology, and how do we perceive, or what was our thought process? So it goes back to basic supply and demand. In our industries, we normally look at, or at least from ICR perspective, we look at 3 pillars. What is the feedstock? We primarily focus on corn, wheat, or grains, let's call it grains. So the second, the largest producer of corn in the world is the US, followed by China, third is Brazil. So obviously there's the feedstock is available there, so the supply is there. Second is we look at policy. If you look around the world, there's biofuels policy that mandates certain percentage to be blended into gasoline. For example, in the US, we have 10%, everybody that puts a gallon of gasoline, there's 10% ethanol in it. In Brazil, the mandate is 27.5%. So the demand is higher. So obviously, you have the feedstock, you have the policy that drives the demand, and there's shortage of supply. The sugarcane fields are, when it comes to agriculture, they have to be retilted or replanted every 7 years. The sugarcane industry has been suffering because they've been highly leveraged, so they don't have the funds to retilt or replant the sugarcane field, so their yields are much lower. And also it's affected by the price of sugar. Currently the price of sugar went up, so a lot of these plants have the possibility, instead of making ethanol, they make sugar, because obviously it brings them more money. So with that said, they'll take the sugarcane and turn it into sugar rather than ethanol, so you have this gap. You have a mandate that you're supposed to blend 27.5% into your gasoline, and yet they don't have the supply of ethanol to meet that. So obviously from our perspective, we have the feedstock because it's the 3rd largest producer of corn. We have the technology, so hence going to Brazil. Now, Brazil comes with its own issues, and whoever has done business in Brazil and is trying to import in Brazil, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I have a few gray hairs here. That's probably because of Brazil. But for us, we go back and again, you look at supply and demand and where we can be successful. Logistics are quite a big issue in Brazil, especially where we're working in, because we're working in the central west part of Brazil. We're not in Sao Paulo, we're out in the, like I said, we go to the remote places where the farms are. So for us, it's a great opportunity. We look to probably somewhat, maybe not to the extent that we've done successfully in the US, but to replicate what we've done based on the amount of corn that is produced, based on the need for ethanol in that country because of their mandate.
All right, let me take one more question, but then I want to leave time for our 2 guests from the Kansas and U.S. Department of Commerce. So, anyone? We're good? Okay. Thank you, everyone. So now.